Hey guys, Anthony, 4x4 Diesel. Just wanted to show you inside the airbox on the 1GD. Okay, so 1GD FTV, vehicle's done just over 25,000 Ks on the original air filter. I think I had the air filter out. I'm not sure when I took it out for the first time, but I'm pretty sure I did a video. And I've done a couple of videos mentioning, lights, camera, action, here we go. We've got the camera, let's get the lights happening. Did a video talking about the dust and whatever, you know. There's a lot of carry-on sometimes on some pages and sites, and some people put pages up just to complain about things, and it's a bit of old information. And look, I suppose you're about to learn a few things in case you missed the other videos. But I'll just grab the product because, you know, I don't really plan what I'm going to do in videos. It's kind of like I literally just went, I'm going to have a look at this air filter after this trip. It'll be interesting to see. And I thought, you know what, might be interesting for you too to see. Because maybe you haven't been on a trip yet. Maybe, you know, you're looking at purchasing a new Prado. I'm not saying I'm recommending it or not, but, you know, there's pros and cons. But just so you know the product, let's get that first, right? It doesn't have to be Penrite, but rubber grease. This type of rubber grease, right? Not rubber grease like the PBR stuff you use to build brake calipers and that, right? This sort of stuff, okay? So we'll put that aside now that we've covered that straight away. What are we doing with that? Well, that's sort of rubber. That's what you use to lube suspension rubbers and bushes and stuff like that. But in full drives, it's an absolute fact that it helps seal around that rubber seal. Now, people can go, yeah, nah, maybe, whatever. Well, you know, we've seen dust on the clean side of the airboxes on a number of vehicles for years, including Nissans, not just Toyotas and, you know, other brands and whatever. And back in the day when we used to work on other vehicles, and by applying the grease to the air filter, you know, it's not the only thing, but that's a major contributor in helping to keep this side clean. Now, with these 1GDs, there's been a lot of carry on, not just these engines, but, you know, the other Toyota engines as well. That, you know, they're crap, it's all crap, the air filters are crap, the airbox is crap, whatever it is. Look, I don't know, okay? We've seen it on other, as I said, on the 1KD, there's gazillions of those, and we've seen the same thing on those. Well, maybe not the same. Let's have a look anyway, right? So, with the compressor there, this will be a good test to see how hard it is to get to that clip. Oh yeah, that was hard, not. So we've got the 4 clips to release that. Look, some other information, I suggest you don't do this on a trip because you might be all, this hasn't had a big wash down, it's had a quick hose off, it was a dusty kind of thing, if you know what I mean, that's all. Just gonna get, I'm always picking any bits of branches and leaves and that out of areas as well, because it all breaks down and ends up down in behind your plastic shrouds and in places, and it rots away and causes rust. But look, don't do this all the time on trips because you may just lift this up and let dirt down past, you know, the seal on, you know, or up, you know what I mean, like up, whatever, right? So the main point of what we want to have a look at here is this has been out. I'll just bump the compressor. Good way for you to see the compressor actually, but I just thought let's have a look because there's all these people complaining about dust getting through the filter. I don't want to break that switch actually, they're pretty not that strong, that's the concern there. So keep that in mind guys, that is be careful of that. Get a light, shine it in there. Okay, right, let's see what's going on here. Okay, now we've got some 4K video going on there. Let's see, what can you see? You can see pretty good what's going on there. So I'll explain what I can see and you can see what you can see. Right now, around all this side, look, oops, careful that switch. All this side, there is some very light dust. There is a little bit, okay? And we've already applied the grease to the seal, okay? So, maybe there is some truth to the argument of how well the seal seals. Now, we haven't got a lot of grease on the seal, and I've just done the usual grease around the outside. On these, I haven't put grease there, maybe it needs a bit more because I'm looking here, right? And there, you can see that, you can probably see that in the video, right? There is a bit of dust there, Right, now the other thing you've got to take into account, if this filter becomes blocked, the engine is going to pull the air it needs. It is going to get it, believe it or not, dust or no dust. So if you've got a blocked air filter and it's pulling the air through, it's going to pull some dust with it. So it all depends on the conditions it's used in. Like I said, this does a little bit off-road, bit of dust here and there. It's done a couple of bigger trips, you know, and I purposely left the air filter there to see if the engine starts blowing smoke or using fuel. I did a run the other day, 7.7. Don't think I get 7.7 all the time, but one trip that lasted about 40 minutes ended up being 7.7 litres per 100 k's on the trip computer, which if you watch the videos, you'll see I've explained is accurate, or it's a little bit better. It's up to half a litre better than what it says. So I'm just going to pop it out and just have a look to see how dusty it is. And your indicator is, I don't know if you know what that blue there is. See, there's a hole in the airbox, and on the 1KDs it was a pink indicator. Problem is when you wash it down, it goes in that hole there and washes it, right? But if you look at that, it should give you an idea without taking out. So if you're on a trip, you don't need to do this and risk getting dirt and stuff from this side. You know, you pull it out and there's all sometimes dust floating around in the air and it ends up going that side. Now, there is a bit of dust there, guys, 100%. I'm just having a muck around here. Hopefully you can see what I can see, but I just want to show you what the air filter's like, okay? So it's not too bad since it's out. Don't worry about those bits of extra dirt there. It's been touched where someone's touched the grease and touched that part. I'm not worried about that. So it's not too bad. It's due to be changed in about 5,000 k's. We've got another one there. While we're at it in there, yeah, not too bad. And this is the thing. Why is it not too bad? Why is it done off-road, couple of trips, just got back from Cameron Corner, and all this? Why is it not too bad? Well, maybe, just maybe, it's because it hasn't got a snorkel. Because once you put a snorkel on, you think, oh, you know, people say put it up there and, you know, up out of the dust. You're actually up right in the dust. You've just put a dust catcher there, okay? In behind this front wheel arch with a plastic guard liner without a bull bar where it's all sealed up, actually stays really clean in there. So the engine has actually the air's got to kind of get sucked into that area. And there's less chance it's going to pull, you know, it's at the front of the vehicle, so it's not in dust, if you know what I mean. Look, you just have to strip one of these cars apart and have a look. One that's been in dusty trips. Other people have put photos up as well. Just going to grab an air filter and just give you the part number. Just in case you've got a 1GD FTV and you would like to replace your air filter. Okay, this is the part number. Okay, 17801 11130. Same pricing as the 1KD air filters. Just for a bit of information there. While we're at it, if the 1KD owners are watching and you're looking to buy an air filter, and if this is helpful for you, this is for a 1KD engine, a 3 litre, or the 1KZ even, same air filter. Genuine, 17801 30080. Might be helpful, maybe not. Put those away. Okay, so what are we going to do here? Well, if I was to put a new air filter, it's not going to tell me much because when it's flowing better, there's less chance you're going to get dust through. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give this side a really good clean, okay? I may pull the MAF sensor out and have a look at that to see how bad that is. It was cleaned recently, it wasn't too bad, but we'll have a look again because that'll tell us exactly what's going on basically with this trip, if you know what I mean, to do with this trip in particular, because it was cleaned, yeah, not long ago. It's the only trip it's done. So in one trip, we'll know that's how much dust it gets with a 25,000 K air filter that's got approximately that much dust and dirt in it. Okay, not too bad. It's pretty well, you know, it's due. I'm going to bang it out and give it a blow and all that, but we're going to do a bit more analysis yet. But you can see around here it seems to have sealed up to about there. But I've got to say there's no grease there. It's all dried up. So this is the problem. I'll be completely honest here. It's often a good opportunity to... Not good opportunity. I mean, when the vehicle's new, it's sometimes best with the cap servicing. It doesn't cost you that much to take it to the dealership to get them to do the job. But what I want to say is where you can see plenty of grease here, it seems to have sealed. And up here where I can see there's no grease, I can see it's dry, okay? There's no grease there. That's where, and that was the section along there along that side, and you probably can't see it, and I'm not going to move it around too much, but you can see there is dust along that side of the airbox, but that's where it comes in. But for it to go up that side there, okay, so I'm not saying this is ideal, Mr. Toyota. Perhaps there could be some improvement on your air filters. Let's just have a look. And that doesn't move there. It'd be the lid itself that's moving around a bit, perhaps. All right, so you can see that bit of movement there? Maybe that needs to fit a bit tighter. Back and forward, there's a little bit of movement as well. But it shouldn't matter about side movement, because when you pop these clips on, that's pressing down hard enough, it should seal it. So, look, I'm going to be completely honest, right, as usual, and you've got to be careful when people say, look, to be completely honest, because you're kind of inferring that, so you mean previously you weren't being completely honest, right? So it's one of those habits you catch off people, you know, look, I'm going to be honest, I get it all the time. So it's a bit catchy. So I'm going to be honest still, and we're going to do some more R&D and have a look at this air filter. And you know what, I'll keep the video going a bit longer, and let's just have a look and see, in case we find something else, some interesting information. But we're going to put this air filter back in, okay? That's for sure. It's not too bad. Look, I would say it's due for replacement, but I actually want to make the modification of adding more grease. Okay. So first thing we're going to do, we've got a fairly clean rag here. Carefully without busting that A or B, we're going to give that clean side a good polish up and get any of that dirt, to any trace of it, gone, because it's definitely there. We know it's there. We know what it looks like with it there. I wouldn't say it's leaked badly, okay, there's not a lot of dust there. These engines, you know, to be able to run on the sort of dry, abrasive exhaust gas soot, that carbon, if they can put up with that, they can put up with a bit of dust, I'll tell you. Now, back in the day, you know, oh, air filters everything and it's the last thing you want, you know, a dusted engine and all that. Will you please explain to me, all right, if the dust is so bad, how they can run on soot for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of kilometres, if not millions, right? Please try and explain that one. Let me know when you got an answer. I'll be looking in the comments, okay? See what I mean? We're just going to take the time to give it a really good clean up. Get that light down and have a look. Bloody beautiful, okay? There wasn't a lot there, but that's just clean enough to show us that if there's more dust coming through next time, right? So what we want, we're going to use our dirty, dusty air filter because it's not going to flow as good as a new one, right? We're going to put a fair bit of grease. Now my video, when I mentioned about the grease, I was talking a fair bit. What I'm trying to say is, I think someone's had the air filter out, not me, and you know, when they use a rag or their hands, a dry bit of hand is enough to take a lot of the grease off. It really needs to have a decent coating of grease. Now, we've also run some K&N filters in other vehicles, right? So that's beautiful and clean. Now, there's no leaves or crap in there because you haven't got a snorkel. There's nothing in there, guys, right? You've got your pre-spinner there. The air comes in. It separates most of it. Goes out the hole at the bottom, right? That's all built-in part of the airbox. It's called a pre-spinner, right? Nothing spins. It's kind of like spins the air as it comes in. So that's the deal. What I'll do, I'll just... I'm going to stop the video while I go and clean the air filter. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and bang it out. I'm going to use some compressed air and give it a bit of a blow. These traditionally, these type air filters, they don't blow out really well. So I'm just going to try and bang out the larger bits of debris, but which makes no difference because it's not bits of stick and bits of leaf that might be in there that's causing the flow problem. The flow problem, a blocked air filter, is all the fine particles in this material here, and it just doesn't come out. That's why you need to replace it. But as I said, for R&D, we're going to give it a clean. I'm going to clean up the rubber seal. I'm going to re-grease the rubber seal, not the airbox, just the seal. And we're going to put it in, and we're going to tell them again, don't touch the air filter, please, okay? Because everything they touch is what ends up being damaged. And you can see that compressor there and that K-on bracket. What I'm not happy about actually is that that plug with the fiddling around, putting it in and out. We just sort of, you know, bumped it around. Didn't take much, and it's that wiring loom with the compressor pressing against it. Yeah, this clip here is pox. I would like it sitting nice and neat like that, but anyway, see, it's not a bit anal, eh? You know, like too fussy. Anyway, I'll go clean this air filter and I'll be back with you shortly. Okie doke. So we've got it all cleaned up. I've got to be honest here. You know, here we go. Got to be honest. Kind of just really trying to say it really strongly that I'm trying to be so clear and straightforward. It's not even about honesty. It's just I've got to be solid about, you know, how much dirt didn't come out of the air filter. There wasn't, you know, look, I bang it on the concrete, on the flat concrete, to see if there was any dirt. No, nothing fell out. Basically nothing, no sand. And so the standard system without the snorkel definitely keeps it really clean, even with the off-road and day trips and, you know, longer trip conditions. And then I got the compressed air and blew it out, and the usual sort of thing. There was nothing coming out of it, basically nothing. I look in there and I go, yeah, there's a few little leafy bits, very small debris. See, I'll pull one out that's still there, right? I don't know if you can see that. I get the hand right in the way to get the focus right. It's that little bit of leafy stuff there. It's not going to block the flow though, so I'll show you what it looks like before I put it in anyway. Right, so I've put not only at the edge, I've put it along the top edge there. Right, so quite a bit of grease. Not a lot of grease, but quite a lot of area. Not just, we're not relying on just the side. We want it to, you know, squash down there as well, right? So that, oops, I touched the side and made a mess. Yeah, I reckon they had it out at the 20,000, and that cleaned some of the grease off because there was a greasy print on top of the plastic airbox up on top. Because of course you've got to use your rags at the right time so you don't make a mess of people's vehicles, right? So in my case, I touched the side. So I'm going to wipe that now before I forget. I'll check it again afterwards anyway, but you know. So the air filter sits in, as simple as that. It's not a complicated job. You don't need a factory trained technician, right? So there's a little bit of grease under the seal. There's grease on the outside, which is usually kind of all you need, and it spills a bit over the edges. But this time, because of that slight leak, look, I don't think we needed that, but I couldn't do 2 lots of R&D in one. One was just do the sides again and try it. I think it's because it got handled, right? You know, maybe they had a rag in their hand and whatever, and it wiped that grease off that side there, because the grease, it just works, okay? It really works. I've got to be honest, it just really works. No, it does. So I've put an extra, just a thin amount, right? And carefully around that switch there, and we're just going to get that back in position, just nicely like that. That'll just fall into position. You can have a feel, make sure it's right. Look, if it's not right, it's just not going to clip on real easy, and it should just clip on nicely like that. And we'll get to the hard one down there because the compressor's there. It might be a bit of a hard one actually. Where is that clip? Did I lose it? Oh yeah, no, it's down there. It is a little bit, you know, you got to sort of, it's not like there's no compressor there, but it wasn't too hard, was it, you know? As I said, when you clean, you know, to know how much dust you've had in there, when you have it out and clean your filter, if you wipe that, or you can turn it, because it's blue on both sides, right? So at about 15,000 k's, you can take it out, check it, if there's any leaks, re-grease it, change it, whatever you're going to do. But if you're putting it back in, you can turn it without having to clean the blue mark, and that'll sort of tell you now you've got a new indicator. So when that gets dirty, I know it's had a fair bit more dust, and if that's dirty and this side of the box isn't dirty, then we know the grease works. Okay, so this is the real life R&D and putting it out there in front of you so you can see exactly what's going on. Simple stuff. It'd be good if a few people could do the same, because that will give us, and there's no point just running it on road, if you know what I mean. It's not, we don't need to do the on-road R&D, if you like, you know. It needs to be used off-road, out in the dust, but a balance, right? If you sit behind someone and suck all the dust, you're going to get a massive amount of dust in your intake, and more likely that something's going to happen. While we're at it, why don't we just have a look at this map sensor, right? So I'll grab the tool of choice, Phillips head. We've got a video on cleaning the map sensor, so search the channel for that. Carefully release the clip, like so. Okay. Then the screws, which you need to be careful. The main thing is to not over tighten them when you're putting them back in. It's just plastic, and this has just got to hold it in place, right? Put the screw somewhere really carefully, don't drop it, is your other precaution. Don't drop the screw, don't over tighten it, right? So, right, you want to make sure this is clean to prevent any issues. Okay, that'll just pop out now. So, it should just pop out now. Right, now, there's bugger all dust on there, right? You know what, I don't know if I did take this out last time, if this has been out. No, it hasn't got my lube on it, because I lubricate around there before I put it in, so I'll show you. We've got a light here and everything, so I reckon around about there. Okay, so if you have a look, you can see the dust around the O-ring. I haven't touched it yet, I just took it straight off. See the dust around the O-ring? That's how bad it is, guys. Okay, so that's reality. You know, you can read all these stories about people. I don't know what they're doing wrong, but if you've got a standard vehicle with a standard bumper bar and a standard no snorkel, you haven't, you know, wrecked the design of the vehicle. There's no dust on there to be seen whatsoever, right? So there's one of your sensors, and there's others, obviously, that you can't quite get to with this arrangement. So the recommended cleaning, you know, there's people, you read different things online. Some people say, oh, you know, oh no, don't blow compressed air on it, use the cleaner. At the end of the day, blowing compressed air on it is the standard cleaning procedure. But look, it doesn't really matter too much about the cleaning. What this video is about, I'm just trying to show you, look, there's no dust, there's no, you know, there's nothing, there's no dust that's been on that, okay, which is a good thing. I'm just going to go and have a closer look at it. And, well, I want to use this light though. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, there's bugger all dust going anywhere in around that sensor, which is absolutely fantastic to see. Okay, and for this one, as soon as it's clean, the recommended cleaning, what I'm going to do is going to use a rag and just clean around this O-ring just carefully. We don't want to get any grip from the O-ring anywhere else either. Alright, so you can see it's there. You can see I'm up to there. I'm just going to go like that. Get another clean bit of the rag. Right. Bang like that, right? Look at that. It's like a new one already. Just going to duck over to the compressed air for a minute. And right, so give that a bit of a clean, even though it was clean already in 25,000 Ks, you know, bada bing. All right. I'd say this system's working pretty well from what I've seen so far. Grab one of those rags again. Give the hole a bit of a clean out. If you want to be even sure, you can put your hand in the hole. Right, there's no dust in there. Nothing. So, you know, even though it looked like a small amount got through, it was actually a minute amount. And people carry on about these being worse than other vehicles. I can tell you, I've seen a lot more dust down 1 kd intakes than anywhere like that. So, but be aware, if you've got a snorkel and it's facing forwards and you're worried about keeping up with the vehicles in front of you and you're right up behind them close, you're going to cop it big time. As I've explained before, this time we're going to use the Molly coat again. As I've explained before, you need to stay out of the dust. It's a really big thing. You know, when they give the average life of an air filter about 30,000 Ks is the service interval. That's only going to work. I'm just going to put some Molykote on the inside of that. It needs a lot less than what I'm putting on there, so I'm going to sort of put it on and take it off again, if you know what I mean. Just so the O-ring can slip in the hole without any sort of resistance. And it also helps seal it. Not that it needs it at the moment, but as it gets older, it may need that help to seal properly. Okay, so sit that back in place. Alright, and if it's lubed up, you usually you push it in and they just about pop out again. So make sure it's sitting in the right place for your screws. Can only really go one way. It's got an arrow on it to tell you that way, but you'd have trouble fitting it any other way. Main thing is don't drop the screw. I like to put it in the screwdriver. Although I need to remagnetise this. If anyone doesn't know how to magnetise a screwdriver, I'm sure a lot of people watching do. And it can be dangerous because batteries do emit dangerous flammable gases, so I'm not going to recommend this. But when I was an apprentice, when I did my apprenticeship as a motor mechanic, vehicle technician, gas specialist, aircon specialist, whatever the case may be, this ticket, that ticket and the other, doesn't really matter. But one of the things I learned is you get a piece of wire, 1 metre long, and you wrap it around the screwdriver, right? And one end goes to this side of the battery, and the other end you sort of short it out, and you just give it a few zaps, and that will magnify the nuts out of that. So then you can put screws in there and go like that, and they won't fall out, right? So this one needs most screwdriver sets come already magnified. I just want to point out that, see, it just doesn't need to be tight. I mean, for the amount of pressure I put on it, the screwdriver, it slips out of the screw before. So I don't know how people can over tighten those, but they do, because, right, and just make sure you hear that click when you plug it back in. That's back as it was before. And what do we do last, of course? Well, we cleaned the nuts out of it already. We just absolutely cleaned the buggery out of it, but we're going to do it again, right? We just want to give it all a bit of wipe down. We don't want any dirty fingerprints on anything, even though everything's clean anyway, bit of grease on the fingers maybe, and a bit of a touch here or there, we don't need any of that. So we like it all nice and beautiful. Okay, so I suppose that's a little bit of information for you on possibilities of dust on the 1GD. As I said, just over 25,000 Ks on that one. A little bit of dust, not enough to bother anything. The engines have to run on a lot more bad news than a little bit of dust. Okay. If you got something out of that, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and turn that bell on so you don't miss the next notification for the important information coming your way. And as always, I'll be skimming through the comments looking for ideas for more videos to share the information with you guys. Alright guys, thanks for watching. See ya.